Good, happy Tuesday morning, October 1st, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, South Carolina man accused of leading police on chase through Salem. 3 police cruisers struck during chase. A South Carolina man is facing charges for allegedly leading police on a chase through Salem in a car that was stolen from Massachusetts. At 8:52 a.m. on Monday, a Salem police officer was alerted by a stolen vehicle tracking device on his cruiser that a 2010 Honda Accord that had been reported stolen out of Haverhill was possibly in the area. Police located the vehicle near the Parkview Inn on Route 28. When officers approached the vehicle, the driver, later identified as Dacuhan Cromer, 22 of Greenville, drove away and behind a building on the lawn, nearly striking an employee of the hotel. He continued driving in the parking lot, striking a parked vehicle and 2 police cruisers. Police followed Cromer through several parking lots and then southbound on Route 28. After striking a 3rd police cruiser, Cromer came to stop on the lawn of the entrance to Tuscan Village at the intersection of South Broadway and Central Street and fled on foot northbound on Route 28. After a brief foot chase, Cromer was arrested. Officers located a large bag of substance, heroin, and or fentanyl in the middle of Route 28 immediately after Cromer was taken into custody. 1 officer sustained an injury to his knees during this incident. Cromer was charged with reckless conduct with a deadly weapon, receiving stolen property, possession of a controlled drug with intent to sell, conduct after an accident, disobeying an officer, resisting arrest or detention, and driving after suspension. He is being held at Rockingham County Superior Court in Brentwood and is scheduled to be arraigned today. Man suffers life-threatening injuries after rear-ending tractor-trailer in Hudson. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today?
Visit us at powellstone.com. Right now, Hudson police are investigating a serious crash that sent one man to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Route 111 at Kimball Hill Road is now back open after the crash between a car and tractor-trailer this afternoon. Police say a Nashua man driving the car rear-ended the semi that was stopping for a red light. He was airlifted to the hospital. The truck driver was not hurt.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. '28th Annual Fire and EMS Awards held in Concord. First responders from across the state honored at Emotional Night in Concord. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today?
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Honors for the women and men who answer the call. This year's Fire and EMS Service Awards saluted some dedicated to their communities for decades and people who jumped into action, including the first ever Civilian Lifesaver Award for a teenager who made sure his cousin could breathe when they were both injured in a violent crash in Boscawen, making sure they both survived.
Right after it happened, I looked over to him and saw that he needed help. I love him. He's my boy. It's my brother. Yeah.
The Medal of Valor was awarded to Salem firefighter Philip Como. In a May Day moment, he rescued one of his own during a collapse at a restaurant fire in June.
He was able to lift the beam and further debris off of Lieutenant Hamilton, freeing him.
And in a somber and emotional moment, 5 agencies were recognized for their response to the Randolph crash that left 7 motorcyclists dead.
The stress of the job, seeing things no one is ever supposed to experience, is all too real.
The awards were dedicated to the late Newington Fire Chief Darren Sabin, who passed away a few weeks ago from cancer and is carried in the hearts of his first responder family.
Chief Sabin's picture inside my hat being an inspiration for all of us. And that was very instrumental to all of us tonight, and that's why we wanted to keep his legacy going.
In Concord, Gene Mackin, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Merrimack officials ask for a temporary shutdown of St. Gobain after chemicals found. Company calls PFOA test results cherry-picked. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Customers will call in or email in and just tell us, I was at the store, and from the beginning of the sale till the delivery, it was a great experience. And as a business owner, that's what we strive for.
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Tom, the town and St. Gobain don't agree on how much chemicals are in the groundwater, but now the state will decide what to do next. Merrimack wants to temporarily shut down St. Gobain's manufacturing plant, saying a March groundwater test sample shows an increase of perfluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA. Town leaders say it's St. Gobain's fault, but the company denies it, saying the town ignored most of the data from that sample. Tonight, Merrimack's request is in the hands of New Hampshire's Department of Environmental Services.
Obviously, we need to read the letter and understand what their concerns are. As of right now, we are working with St. Gobain. They have proposed air treatment. One of the big concerns is air emissions from the facility.
Also tonight, the state's new drinking and groundwater rules are in effect. The maximum standards for 4 different PFAS chemicals now range between 11 and 18 parts per trillion. That's among the strictest in the nation.
So the first thing any public water system will have to do is in their next quarterly testing, they'll have to test for these compounds.
Communities will need to act if their annual levels are above the state's new standards.
That corrective action plan may take a significant time period to complete. Treatment for larger systems is pretty complex, and it could take 18 months to 2 years to design and build a new treatment facility.
DES doesn't regulate private wells, but says those who have them should check their levels.
If it does test above the state standards, we do have a nice application called Be Well Informed that allows you to understand what the testing says and what treatment technologies might be useful.
DES says it will have some funds available to help smaller communities to adapt to these new rules. Reporting live in Merrimack, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New England nonprofit donates protective vests to Lebanon Police K-9. Blesk joined department last year. Take a look at this photo of the K-9 vest. A Lebanon police K-9 now has a bullet and stab-proof vest thanks to a donation from a non-profit organization. The vest was donated to K-9 Blesk by Vested Interested in Canines, Inc. It is embroidered with the words in honor of Clifford, a loyal companion. Blesk, a Belgium Melnos from Selvica, joined the Lebanon Police Department K-9 unit in February 2018. He is partnered with K-9 officer Jeremy Perkins. Massachusetts-based Vested Interests mission is to protect vests and other assistance to dogs of law enforcement and related agencies throughout the United States. Since its inspection, Vested Interest has provided over 3,500 vests in 50 states through private and corporate donations at a value of $5.7 million. Each vest has a value of up to $2,283. One year from October 1st, Granite Staters can no longer use standard licenses to board flights. New Hampshire residents can obtain Real ID in person at DMV. Take a look at this photo of what the Real ID looks like. This is a photo of what a real driver's license ID looks like. Real ID means a star on the license. New Hampshire residents have 1 year before they will need a star on their driver's license indicating that it is a Real ID credential in order to use it to board a flight. Otherwise, they will need to use another form of acceptable ID, such as a valid passport or U.S. military ID, to board a domestic flight to enter a secure federal facility, including a military base. New Hampshire's Real ID license and identification cards will be required beginning October 1st, 2020, next year. They have a star inside a gold circle in the upper right corner to show that it meets federal regulations. You can obtain a rail driver's license in person at the New Hampshire Department of Motor Vehicles office. You must bring certain documents to prove U.S. citizenship and New Hampshire residency. Documents required including one proof of identification, such as a birth certificate, a valid U.S. passport or passport card, or a certificate of naturalization. One proof of social security number, such as a social security card or pay stub with full social security number. And 2 items that show proof of residency, such as a lease agreement, mortgage statement, New Hampshire's driver's license, or current utility bill. New Hampshire residents have the option to upgrade to Real ID if their license does not currently have the star, or they can stick with an older standard driver's license. However, a standard credential without the star will not be valid to board a domestic flight or to access secure federal facilities, and will have the words "not a federal identification" printed at the top. On the second Saturday of each month, the Concord, Dover, Manchester, Nashua, Newport, and Twin Mountain DMV locations are open from 8 a.m. to noon for Real ID transactions only. Real ID is a federal effort to improve reliability and accuracy of driver's licenses and identification cards, aimed in inhibiting terrorist abilities to use fraudulent identifications. Beginning October 1st, 2020, those who are unable to verify their identity will not be permitted to enter the TSA checkpoint and will not be allowed to fly. For more information about how to obtain a real driver's license ID or identification card in New Hampshire, visit the state's Real ID information page, and that link is in this article, and we will have that article up on the Riley King Network Facebook page. Republican presidential candidate Bill Weld makes stops in Manchester. Former Massachusetts governor says he's seen momentum building. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today?
Visit us at powellstone.com.
Well, presidential candidate Bill Weld also in New Hampshire today. The Republican we caught up with that Republican at his campaign headquarters in Manchester. That's where he said he loves campaigning and can feel momentum growing among voters here. Weld calls himself an economic conservative interested in conserving the environment.
Of course, that's the opposite of what our current president does, because he likes to sow division and starts out with Muslims and then Hispanics and then people of color. He's got a new villain every month, it seems. And they're all just types that he wants other people to feel resentful about. He calls himself a nationalist. I think he's just an isolationist.
Weld also spoke at St. Elmsome College this morning.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. U.S. futures point to a higher open on Wall Street. U.S. stocks were trading higher on Tuesday morning. City Commissioner Breit's Deputy at Police Award ceremony. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Unexpected confrontation during an award ceremony honoring a sheriff's deputy in Florida. A city official, a commissioner, saying to that deputy when he came to the front of the room, "Do you remember falsely arresting me 4 years ago?" Here's ABC's Victor Akendo.
This South Florida award ceremony honoring Deputies of the Month quickly turned into a berating that's gone viral.
Joshua Gallardo,
My line.
can you come down for a second?
Tamarack City Commissioner Mike Gellin called Deputy Joshua Gallardo over and leveled a public surprise over a prior confrontation.
It's good to see you again. You probably don't remember me, but you're the police officer who falsely arrested me 4 years ago.
In 2015, Gellin said he was recording on his cell phone as officers tried to break up a fight between homeless men. In his report, Gallardo said Gellin repeatedly ignored commands to move from the crime scene. Deputy Gallardo took him into custody for resisting arrest without violence. Gellin said the state attorney reviewed the cell phone video, then dropped the charges.
You're a bad police officer, and you don't deserve to be here.
A stunned Deputy Gallardo appears to smile, then give a thumbs up before leaving. The mayor said she was completely shocked. The Deputies Association called the commissioner's actions outrageous, but Gellin says he just doesn't want anyone else to go through what he went through, or worse. David?
Victor Akendo reporting from Florida.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we have one candidate that will be in New Hampshire today. Tulsi Gabbard has 2 events today in New Hampshire. Her first event is a town hall in Nashua, New Hampshire. And her second event is a town hall in Londonderry, New Hampshire. Those are the 2 events that Tulsi Gabbard has today in New Hampshire. And that does it for my morning newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone, and enjoy your day.